Hello, this is G-Man, and welcome back to my world 67. Well, as you can see, it's from the tree. We're getting closer and closer to that great day of birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And which is, of course, celebrated in most homes with Christmas festivities and the Christmas tree. Well, what you see here is the makings of my Christmas train project. I'm finally getting started on it. I've actually been under the weather since Wednesday, and I still don't feel too good. But tomorrow's Sunday, and this will be our Christmas service, as Christmas is towards the end of the week. And so I've got to feel better. And the Lord has been giving me to feel better. And so I was sitting here this evening, and I got to thinking about looking under my desk for those cars for my Mickey Mouse meteor train, as I still hadn't found them yet. And as I was pulling out the cars, I had a bunch of stuff fall out. Some of the items I had fall out were this number 52 fire car. And I was going to actually repair it, put another globe in it. One of my early videos, I believe you'll see where I took one of these. I put another motor on it. Actually made a motor for it, replaced the wheel, and made a canopy for it. And replaced these little boogers. And got a man for it. I think the first one I redid, I made a man for it. And the second one, I bought a man for it. But anyway, these are real easy to rebuild or to repair. And I was going to do another video on doing that, an updated video to show you how I was going to do. But then this fell out, and this fell out, and I have no idea. I think it's actually either a Bing or an Ives shell. It's kind of small. I thought it was American Flyer, but it's either Bing or Ives or American Flyer. I'm guessing that it's actually Ives or Bing because it has these two holes in it. But I found that, and then I found the number 50 motor car, the number 50 motor car frame. And so this motor that you see in it right now, I'm going to show you how I did this and what it is. This is actually the motor out of this 52 fire car. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and go into the video. Now, I've already taken the motor out of the number 52 fire car, and I've already set it in place in here, but I'm going to dismantle it and show you step by step what I did to fit it in there. I wanted it to have some of the details worked out in it before I did the video. That way it would save some time on trying to take the time to figure out how I was going to mount it and everything. That way it's already done. And I did the same for this. I've already set up my mounting sport. And so the cab will go on and we'll show you all of that. Let me move this drill out of the way. Set that to the side. And we're going to put our camera right here. And away we go. All right. Now, first of all, I was fortunate. This number 52 fire car chassis has a mounting, had a screw hole. Why, I don't know, but Lionel used the same chassis or similar chassis for a lot of their operated accessory cars. But it had a screw hole right there, which just happened to line up with this hole in the number 52 chassis, number 50 chassis, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Now, as you know, these have a bumper on each end that causes this metal slide to go back and forth. Well, I cut that metal slide off, pushed it forward so that it would stay in forward motion, and that exposed, wish I had better light, that exposed this screw socket right here in the fire car frame. It also has other screw holes in it, in the frame itself. There's one there, that were used to attach the fire car on, which went like that, and there was a screw right here. The car itself was held on by these little deals here on the rear. So they actually only had one screw holding the fire car shell on. Now, once I took this loose, pushed this forward, then I had to figure out how I was going to mount this onto the frame. And as I said, this motor car frame has this drop down brace right here. Hope you can see it. And it has the hole right there, which lined up perfectly with the stanchion hole in the frame down here. which also locks this in place and keeps this from sliding backwards and forwards. Now there's another mechanism that I just accidentally designed by its own creation, actually. When I put this frame on here, line it up, put the screw in, and I drilled a hole back here in the frame where you saw I took the screw out to put a screw in. So now the frame is held to the chassis with 2 screws. Should be enough to hold it. Takes some pretty rough treatment for that to ever come loose on its own. But as I was saying was, one of the things that this does is the screw locks this in place up here, holds it forward, and then by way of this rear coupler, which I don't know if I can show you very well without picking the camera up. Let's see if we can see. Here's that reversing slide bar right here. Now right here is the backside of the coupler. I don't know whether you can see it move or not. Boy, that's too close. That will actually keep the bar from going back any further also. But basically, the bar really should stay in place by itself. So we attach it to the frame with these 2 screws. And then once I put it back on, I had to figure out exactly how I was going to attach it to this shell. So I thought I'll do it pretty much like Lionel and American Flyer. Most of them attach their shells to frames of this type. Since I had the flange here, there was also a flange right here. This is the original flange for the screw hole to hold the shell on. So I bent this down, and I'm going to use this. This is actually the motor flange for the original motor. So I took it, and I needed to have a little spacer in it. So I took a piece of, actually this is a piece of clothespin, and I cut it off at the appropriate length. I glued it first to the back side of the shell, and then I took some hot glue, put it in the corners and across this surface. Nice, solid. It had to be torn out. That gave us our fit back here. Now the hole was already in the shell, but there was no hole in the frame. So I had to go through, set it in place, drill a hole through it, through the wood, and into that framework. On the front side of this, I had to build another support to catch the front half of the engine. So what I did was, this is actually part of this metal slide. This part here was just wide enough. It's just kind of uncanny the way Lionel made parts. This was just the exact width as these two holes here that Lionel used on the shell itself for the motor car to pop down in on each corner. This is the end on this piece of metal shaft, or flat bar, if you would, that actually held the bumper cushions. I'll show you that. There's one there, one there. They slipped in nicely. I bent them over, and then I used hot glue on them. I'm going to trim that up a little bit, get it a little neater. And I used hot glue on them just to make sure they don't come back out. Also, I had to bend this up to this point so that it would set in place just right to support the shell. And I had to drill a hole through that to do it. Now, this little piece of metal is pot metal or ding metal. And so when you bend it a little too much, once it's already been bent one direction, of course, you always have the tendency to break it. So when I reshaped this, so I didn't get it hot enough, actually, that I could do it without it cracking, so it began to crack. So what I did was I filled the crack in with super glue. And then I went to the underside and I took a piece of vinyl plastic You guys know that plastic, I use it for building materials. I use it for car repair. And I put it in as a support on the back side of that. I glued it in and then hot glued it in. Sort of like welded it in. On the top and the bottom to support this piece of plastic, this piece of metal, so that it would not crack anymore. It's really solid, it's really stable now. It won't bend either way. So, and there's not going to be any pressure on it whatsoever. So that should last a lifetime. fill that all in. And drilled a hole through it. Lined it up, drilled a hole through it. And so now the cab is ready to be mounted. So basically, once I put that all together, the method of assembly and everything is done. Now, as I mentioned, I decided, and this was all spur of the moment, I just got the idea when the stuff fell out from under there. I've been wanting to do a Christmas engine for the last 2 or 3 years. I say I'm going to do one, but I never get around to it. So I'm just really happy that this opportunity today, this evening, arose for me to be able to do it. Now, you never know where inspiration's going to come from. And this is all built out of junk, mind you. And none of these is related to the other. As I said, this is an Ives shell or a Bing shell. This is a Lionel frame from a motor car. This is a fire car chassis and motor. So none of it's related, but it's all coming together. Now, there's some other things I've got to do on this. I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put the light, or if I'm going to put a light on each end. I'll need to paint it. I'm going to take off, I believe I'm going to take off all the handrails. And the engine is going to be red, white, and green. The engine and the frame. Red, white, and green. Now, what order that's going to be in, yet I don't know. I've toyed around with a couple of 2 or 3 different paint schemes. And we'll just wait and see. But it's going to be red, white, and green, or white, green, and red, or something. But it's going to be through those 3 colors. So anyway, I just thought I'd share it with you, just a little documentary video to share with you that my Christmas express train is coming together. It's becoming a reality. And I don't know if I get a chance to do another little video on it tomorrow. But I'll definitely have another follow-up video for you over the next 2 or 3 days until its completion. So, hopefully I'm feeling back, being able to go back to work on Monday, and which means most of my time will be tied up again. But basically, I've had 3 days off, and all I did was stay in bed. So I didn't get anything done anyway. Gotten more done this evening than I've gotten done in the last 2 weeks. So as far as trains are concerned. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. As always, stay safe. And if you guys enjoy operating and running your trains, working on your trains, your layout, as much as I do, then you should have happy rails. This is G-Man. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at gman1924 at hotmail.com. As always, happy rails. Bye for now.